All right, I think we're live. We'll find out here in just a second. Hopefully everybody can hear us and we're not echoing and all that. I think I got everything set up correctly. This is the first one that I'm doing here with a guest over at Survivalist Prepper. So this is sort of an experiment. But at any rate, today what I wanted to do was bring Kevin on to talk about his van build that he's doing. He's done quite a few different things recently, and he kind of just pivoted and completely changed course a few months ago. So I just wanted to kind of touch base. You're right at the beginning of this next stage of your stuff. So I want to talk about some of the things you plan on doing down the road, or first immediately, all that stuff. But a lot of people over here on my channel know who you are. You've been a guest on my podcast a bunch of times. You've been a guest on the Survival Prepper Show. We did Prepper Med together a few years ago out here in Colorado.
Yep.
So done a lot of stuff together. Instead of me explaining your background and all the different things that that us preppers, your skill set really lends itself to the preparedness lifestyle with your Wilderness Safety Institute, your EMT stuff. I mean, just all sorts and even this van. I don't know do you want to call it a van life? Is that a term you want to use or not?
It's typically a van life. You can call it that. I'm just calling it. I've been a nomad pretty much all of my life and never really realized it fully until kind of recently in the past couple of years. I've never really stayed in one place for very long. I've always moved around the country. I lived a whole bunch of places. So it's always been kind of in my blood or in my DNA. My uncle was the same way. And this is kind of a culmination of everything up until now. All my outdoor skills, EMS, preparedness world, all coming together to accomplish what it is I want to do. And that's travel the country and see all the places I couldn't see before because I was on somebody else's schedule. And now I'll be on my schedule and I can go wherever I want, whenever I want, for as long as I want, and enjoy life and see stuff.
Yeah. And as far you doing that, like I said, I didn't say this, but I'm going to say it now. We're streaming this both on your channel and my channel. Your channel is not necessarily it's not a prepper channel. Mine
Correct.
is, but I think this type of situation you're doing kind of lends itself to both, because as preppers, we'd think of this kind of a bug out situation, or we think of this from that perspective, whereas you're thinking, I'm going to go do whatever the hell I want to do when I want to do it, and for as long as I want until I get tired of it, or so it's an extended an extended outage, I suppose, or outing, not outage.
Yeah, and I'm actually using, so I've obviously with you been in the preparedness world for most of my life as well, starting out when I was in the Cub Scouts. So that's being kind of built into what I'm doing. Be prepared for natural disasters or illness, whatever the case is, having that method of thinking and planning about things and planning 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 steps ahead, anticipating what could go wrong, planning to make sure that I have what I need, or at least the mindset to deal with what may come down the road. Obviously, there's things that nobody can anticipate, but if I can try and anticipate as much as I can and plan for whatever that may be, the better off I'm going to be. I can only carry so much stuff. I can't have a year's worth of food with me or 200 gallons of water, but I can have options and I can kind of plan things and where I'm going, scout out the area, and I can identify, I can get water from this gas station, that convenience store, this lake, this river, whatever, just in case.
Yeah. Well, and your background kind of lends itself to all that, because you've got the Wilderness Safety Institute, and as preppers, it doesn't necessarily mean what that all entails. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to be out in the wilderness. It's kind of an austere environment, right? That emergency type medicine, which would be a situation in a natural disaster, in something like that, where that stuff would be important.
Right.
And then you got your day job. You're an IT guy or your security. So that right there also, I mean, there's just so many different things that you do that all, plus your military background, and I mean, just a whole bunch of stuff. So, and I'm sure I will have you on in the future.
Yeah, I'm a mutt. Everything kind of meshes together, and this is what you see, and
yeah,
kind of full send and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll have you on in the future, and we'll be talking about whether it's digital stuff, whether it's that wilderness medicine, emergency bandages and stuff like that, or whatever. There's a lot of things that you've got a lot of knowledge on. But tonight we're going to be talking about.
You call me and I'm here.
Cool. Tonight we are going to be talking about your van build, though, and what your plans are for that. And I mentioned that you had started something else. I don't know how long ago.
That was phase one.
What's that?
That was phase one.
Yeah, phase one.
I've now moved into phase two, which was always planned. It was just it got kicked into high gear for other reasons we'll get into later.
Yeah. Well, it started with you. Well, you started with this truck, right? And then you did some stuff back behind in the bed of the truck. Then you got some sort of camper, right? Is that what you got?
An off-road camper. It was a 6x8 off-road camper. I called it my bed on wheels because it was literally a 6 foot by 8 foot camper with off-road suspension, big tires. And I lived in that for it was about 5 or 6 months last year. And then I won't get into the reasons why, but basically sold that, ordered my van, and that was always the intention, to do that for a while. Then, save up the money, buy a van, convert the van, and then do that. And then because a number of things happened, fell into place, and progressed, I just picked up the van Monday evening, paid for it in cash, so I don't have to worry about any payments. So, again,
pretty basic van at this point.
Pardon?
Pretty basic at this point. It's not a whole lot to it. It's just a van, right? But I guess that's a good thing.
Brand new.
I
just got it on Monday.
Yeah. I guess that's a good thing, though, because you don't, as preppers or just car people, guys, we kind of like to fancy everything out and do all that stuff. And I don't know what your plans are. Maybe you do have plans on doing that, but or I've seen some pretty radical looking bug out vehicles and stuff like that. And I think that is it just makes you a target as far as other people, seeing you and knowing exactly who it is. And I suppose from your aspect of this, that security thing is also an issue, because if they see you're that van that's got all the cool crap in it, that could be an issue too. So do you have, as far as the exterior of your van, is it just going to be, that's like down the road and we'll cross that bridge when we get there, or do you have actual plans for that?
Exactly. Yeah. So the phase one of phase two. So the initial thing is, it's going to be, I want to get the inside built to where I can sleep, I can work, I can cook, I can do whatever I need to, and there won't be a whole lot of modifications to the outside of it until later. And that'll let me blend in, because it looks like a regular work van that you see on the road every day. Mm-hmm. It blends in. There's nothing that gives it away, nothing that says someone is living in this full time. Eventually, at some point, and it'll probably happen pretty quick, not all at once, but over a very short period, where I will be, I have plans to get a four-wheel drive conversion added to it. But that's going to cost a lot of money. So saving up for that, obviously solar, roof racks, a whole bunch of things, but it's not going to be that way yet. Right now, it's going to be pretty much stealth. So if I need to go somewhere and pull over on the side of the road in a residential area, people won't think twice. It won't be screaming, someone is sleeping there. It'll just be, oh, some dude parked his van there. He must be visiting somebody.
You could even get a few of those magnetic decals, like Johnson and Sons Heating and Plumbing, throw it on the outside of it. the next day
Some
change
people
it
do
out.
that. Yeah, some people do that. And one of the issues that you could run into, depending on the state, if you have those kind of things where you want it to look like a work truck and you don't have commercial license plates,
Yeah.
that's asking for a ticket. So yeah, I mean it's all about doing it. There's a right way and a wrong way. So a right way is park where you're legally allowed to park. Don't park there for a week. Don't camp out there for a month. Stay overnight, arrive kind of later at night, leave early in the morning. You don't want to be a nuisance. You don't want to be in people's way. You just want a place to sleep in quiet.
Yeah.
So you sleep and then you leave, and then you go somewhere else. And then I can park, in a county park or somewhere where you're allowed to park and work there. Go to a Starbucks and go in and get a coffee or something to eat. Maybe use their Wi-Fi for an hour and then go somewhere else. So there's always a right way and a wrong way. You can sleep overnight at Walmart for free and Cracker Barrel and Bass Pro, Cabela's, all those different places. And the right thing to do is wherever you're going to go. Like I did last year, I would stay at Walmart, all the places I just mentioned. But you go in and you buy something. Go to Cracker Barrel, have a great dinner, come out, spend the night, you're gone the next morning. So if you're going to park at a Walmart, go in, buy something, use the bathroom, buy something. It's a good place to buy, a quick dinner, buy something, be a patron of their business, show support for letting them, for thanking them for letting you stay there overnight.
Yeah.
But you don't bring out your barbecue and set up like you're camping. No, you just park, you sleep, and then you leave.
Yeah. See, Alaric in the chat, and you'll have to monitor your chat, but Alaric
I can't really see anything, so I'm going to rely on you because I'll see if I can pull it up on my channel, but I don't think I can see.
Gotcha. And it's not Alaric.
I can see it now. So okay, cool. I can see it now. Woohoo!
It's Alaric. I said Alaric because I've got a friend that's named Alaric. So, but anyway, I said I don't like leaving the house, and that's kind of like I am too. I don't think I'd be traveling from place to place, but you never know. I've thought about this for years. It's lower on my priority list. I've got a whole lot of other things to do before I do this, but I've thought about doing something like this for a while, not to the extent that you are, but getting something like an old beat up van, not necessarily beat up, but not the nicest thing in the world. It's got to run good though. That's the main thing with that. Something that can sit in my driveway. I can work on, I can do some stuff with. We can go for a weekend because we're getting older now, and camping on the ground in a tent isn't as appealing as it used to be. I used to make fun of people like me that whine about having to sleep in a tent, but that's kind of where we are now. But if we had something enclosed, I think it'd be a lot more fun. And on top of that, you do have that emergency bug out type vehicle, whether you're talking natural disasters or you're talking something major. If you just need to leave for a few days and then you go back and hope your house is still there. I think of hurricanes when I think about this, and the people in Katrina, they basically had to sleep in the Astrodome or wherever that was. I forget what it's called down in New Orleans, or a FEMA camp, sleep on a FEMA cot. It would be a whole lot better to be able to just take off in your van, in your RV, whatever, figure out a place to stay for a few days, even if it is in that Walmart parking lot, and then go back, cross your fingers and go back and hope your house is still there.
A lot of people do that very thing. They get a van and they fix it up for weekends, for camping trips, for, they take vacation every year. Why rent a hotel if you drive it there? When I was teaching courses a lot, I would sleep in the back of my truck. I would have to drive out to Houston or up to Dallas. We're talking a 6 or 7 hour drive. Why pay $150 a night for a hotel when I can just sleep in the back of the truck?
Yeah. Go
into Walmart, use the bathroom, wash up, change, whatever, and then drive home. So but yeah, a lot of people do that. We call them part-timers. They don't do it full time that's perfectly valid. You do it for whatever you want. You don't do it because someone says you have to. You do it because you choose to. But people do it part-time all the time. There's probably more who do it part-time than full-time. full time is a pretty heavy commitment. I mean, you got to downsize everything in your house. People sell it, put it in storage. There's a lot into it. And some people don't want that headache. They just want to go out and enjoy themselves. More power to them. Go for it.
Yeah. And at this point, you don't have a wife to talk into it either. I'd have to do that. And I'm not sure that would work all that well.
I'm pretty sure Elise would castrate you with a rusty spoon.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, but you know what? Maybe you'll meet somebody that enjoys that kind of lifestyle. I mean, you never know. Life is weird that way.
I'm sure I will. I mean, there's, I know Mark is in the chat right now. Hey, what's up, buddy? Mark is one of my Canadian friends, along with Jackie, Katie, and a bunch of other people here in the chat. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people who met on the road and now they're together. There's people who are together in their own vehicles, but they traveled together. You never know.
Yeah. Better than going to a bar and picking up a chick and saying, "Hey, I don't have a house. You want to go out?" Yeah, I'm not sure that it'd work.
My home is paid for in cash.
Yeah,
it's all in the proper terminology.
It's the way you sell it. That's right.
That's right.
Hey, our tent life in the chat said get the big biohazard decals. That'd be kind of cool. I'd have a whole set. I could switch them out daily.
Hey, Debbie, Katie. Oh, I mentioned Katie before. Debbie is here. Mark is here. Cool. They're slowly trickling in.
You had mentioned going to the bathroom and stuff like that, and this is your van right now. And like you said, less than a week you've had this, right?
I got it Monday night. Okay,
so just a few days. But this is basic your blank canvas. What you are planning on doing, or where you plan on working. Now, explain, I guess, your first one. How long? What is the size of the area in there you're working with, and what are the first couple of things that you plan on doing to the inside of this?
So probably the first thing is going to be to get it insulated. The overall the plan is to chase 70 degrees. So if it's 100 degrees here in Texas like it is now, I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be maybe up in the mountains of Colorado where it's maybe 70 degrees. So, but I do want some insulation because it'll get cold at night, especially if I'm out in the desert in Arizona, New Mexico, wherever that happens to be. So insulation is one of the things I'll be doing first and foremost. And then I'll be putting up probably some kind of a curtain rod with some blackout curtains right behind the two seats. So when I do park at night, I can close those and people can use their flashlight. They can't see past that the little cab area. Mm-hmm. And then building out my sleeping platform, I need a place to sleep. And I'm old and cranky and I can't do a cot anymore. So having a decent sleeping platform is key. And planning on how, everything is going to be based around how I do the bed. So that one could go a couple different ways. I can either sleep side to side or lengthwise. And then that dictates how much counter space I can build into, or my storage space is going to be, if I'll have a kitchen, and whatever else I decide to put in there. It's all dictated pretty much by the bed. And then storage under the bed, a place for all the electronics, batteries and all the other electronic components for solar. Where am I going to store? Like I have a propane generator. Where am I going to store that? Where am I going to store the propane? So all those little things to maximize storage. And I have to work either inside of it when it's raining or really bad weather, or when I work outside, what is that going to look like? So I got to plan for all of those different scenarios. How much food can I have on hand? I don't want to go to the store every day, but if I can go to the store once a week, I'm going to get milk or creamer for the coffee or whatever else I need. How much canned goods can I carry? Because those typically weigh a lot. So there's a lot of considerations that go into it and planning it out. Everything is around the bed. But first, I'm going to get it insulated, wire up the lights, put panels on the ceiling and the walls, put some flooring down, pretty much the basics. And then from there, who knows? I have no idea. It's kind of a journey. You know,
get that stuff done and then start jotting down on a napkin some different ideas, design ideas. And
oh yeah, well, there's plenty of ideas on YouTube. I have plenty of friends. You know, Mark is one of them. I'm looking to see who's in the chat. You know, Debbie, Mark is one of my buddies up in Canada, as well as Kayla. Although I don't see Kayla here yet. They have a lot of ideas, and there's tons of guys who are doing this already. So, in keeping with the tradition of van lifers, you see a good idea that somebody else does, you steal it, make it yours.
Yeah, yeah.
So I have a number of ways I envision it, how that actually works out. I'll let you know when I get there. I'll be posting videos on YouTube and pictures on Flickr, and yeah.
So with you were mentioning the rust proofing it, putting that coating on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same? Because the bed of my truck has, I forget what it's called, but it's basically sprayed on. It's a little bit rough though. Is that kind of the same idea? Is it the same stuff?
I don't know if it's the same. I don't think it's the same exact stuff, but it's kind of like a rubberized undercoating kind of thing. It's not it's not like the armor coating in the back of a pickup truck. It's more like the undercoating to prevent rust and mold and moisture getting in. And it also adds a layer of insulation as well.
Now, is that something you get an airbrush or a sprayer, spray it on, or is it something you got to roll on?
Spray paint cans. Yeah, I'll buy a case of spray cans, and I had no idea how many I'll need, but I know at least one friend of mine who did his, and he's got the same van. He's got the 2500. Mine is the 3500. So I think his is like maybe a foot shorter. So I'm going to ask him how many cans he went through, and I'll add 1 or 2 cans, and that should do it. And if not, I'll go out and get another few.
One I forgot to ask you with this: are those sidebars right there? Are they those basically like? Are you going to use those as kind of like 2x4 wall studs? Are you going to put?
So those are the ribs. Yeah, they go along the walls or the sides as well as the ceiling. So what I'll do is probably stuff insulation in between those, and then I'll probably mount some kind of slats, drill into them. So I'll have mounting points so I can drill in the wall to hold up a cabinet or something, secure it to the wall somehow without drilling in or through the side of the van. Kind of gives a little bit of reinforcement.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, I guess if I did get a van, I don't know, honestly, I wouldn't even know what a low cost, good running van would cost these days. I'm definitely not going this brand new route. But
they are not, well, actually, the reason I went brand new is because all the used ones were more than this one was new.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not joking. I'll send you pictures later, but
yeah, this is a bad time to be buying a used vehicle.
So I saw a couple that were a few years old. I think the lowest mileage one had 50,000 miles, and it was a couple of years old, and it was the asking price was 55,000, I think. This was brand new with all of the options I got was 44,000.
Wow.
New from the factory. Had to wait 84 days for it, but still.
And then buying a used van, I'm sure you would have to tear out everything to start from scratch, right? Because they'd probably already have all that, or maybe not. I mean, it depends on how well or how much you like it and how much you can utilize it. But to get wiring and stuff in there, yeah, I would jack something up. I would definitely have to do. I'd end up tearing everything out.
And that's why one of the options I got the auxiliary lighting, because that way it comes wired from the factory, saves me a whole bunch of work.
Yeah.
And that way I can just, disconnect the lights they gave me and use my own lights with the existing wiring. saves a whole bunch of work and hassle, and I don't have to buy any cable for that. It's already there.
Yeah. One
And
of
I
the
know
things that
some people are going to ask. So really quick, if you go back to that picture showing the inside,
yeah.
so that there on the left. So I got the option was for that's the auxiliary heating and air conditioning unit for the rear. So if it does get cold, I have an air conditioning specifically for the back, as well as a heater. So I don't have to worry about getting a diesel heater, having diesel fuel on hand, or tapping my gas tank and dealing with that whole mess. The only thing I have to do is run the van to run that, but I can run it at night before I go to bed, or when I wake up in the morning, run it. And then when I get on the road, I'll do whatever. So hopefully I can get around the build process with that there, because I ordered that and I want that there. Again, thinking ahead, what happens if I get somewhere and I wake up and it's freezing out? I can crank on the van and turn the heater on in the rear. So
is that movable, or is that mounted in there pretty good?
No, it's where it is where it is.
So you have to build around it.
I have to build around that, yeah. And that side is where the bed is going to be. So there's a couple different possibilities I'm toying with right now until I get it. This weekend I'll be taking out the measuring tape and actually in there planning things, measuring and all that. But it's all going to be around that. And then the bed is around that, and everything else is around the bed.
So once you get solar put in there, is there a way to bypass that being straight from to the engine or part of the main control panel, or not? Because it doesn't you need the engine on all that to actually control it. Is that why?
Yeah, you need the engine to control that, plus the power. Just to run air conditioning, I don't think, well, some people do. The van lifers definitely know. The average person probably has no clue. Air conditioning needs a lot of power to run.
That was my next question.
You can buy a standalone air conditioning unit. The one I was looking at is called the Zero Breeze Mark. Zero Breeze Mark, or Breeze Zero Breeze Mark II. And with the batteries, you're talking around 2,000, 2,500. And that's good just for cooling yourself off, not cooling a space. And that's only good for maybe 8 hours if you run it straight, from what I've heard. So it's not like you're going to heat. You won't cool down the entire van, but you sit down, point the big tube at you, and you'll cool you down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that takes a lot of power, and that's just for cooling a small space down. With this, I can run the van, let it idle, and it comes out of there pretty quick. It knocked my hat off when I was there at the dealership picking it up. The guy that drove me over there, I had him turn the fan on, and I was looking down at it, wondering which one is it going to come out of, and it literally knocked my hat off. So it's pretty strong.
Yeah.
So I have no problem running the van for 15 minutes to cool the van down, and then turning it off and then drive it to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Chasing 70 degrees is the key.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you what, being in a van with no AC, that would get old real quick.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, though, the solar power aspect of that, on your old truck, you have a couple solar panels. I guess it's still your truck. It's not your old truck yet. But
yet.
You have a couple solar panels mounted to the top. Are those 100 watt?
Yes, those are, each panel is 100 watts. I have them wired in parallel, and that gives me double the amperage. And they feed a small or smaller solar generator, and that in turn powers my fridge, which has been in that truck for, well, I guess going on about 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. It's always on. The fridge has been on for about 2.5 years in the truck.
And is that the only thing you use that for at this point?
Yep. Well, I mean, if I'm going somewhere, I can charge my phone. I can charge, Bluetooth devices, whatever else I have with me. I can charge it, and it charges fine. I haven't ever seen it go below. I think the lowest I've seen that go was maybe 60%, and that was with a couple of days of rain and clouds. It's working fine.
Okay. And you were saying it is hooked up to a battery, right?
Yeah, so that's hooked up to a solar generator.
Okay.
I think it's around 716 watts is what it's rated for. And the fridge is plugged into that on the 12 volt. So it's not using the inverter, which costs more power. So it's using, it's in a regulated 12 volt outlet, runs the fridge. The fridge itself doesn't really use much power at all, and very efficient. And it's been on for, like I said, about 2.5 years.
Yeah. While you were explaining that the first time, I was busy playing with pictures and trying to get this one in here, so I totally missed it. So I had to figure out how to go back to that. But what is your plan with the new one then? Are you going to do sort of the same? Do you plan on getting more power, or is the same amount of power going to be enough for you? What is your plans for the new one?
More power. Yeah. I'll be getting, when I do it, I'll probably have 3 solar panels on the roof. I don't know which ones I'm going to get yet. I don't know if they'll be 100 watt. I know they have them, you can get 200 watt panels. Again, I don't know how much, I don't know the dimensions. I don't know how much space I'll have for them, but I know other people who have similar panels can usually fit 3 across the top. I'll also have a DC to DC charger. And what that means is when I'm driving it, the alternator will help charge the house battery, meaning not the crank battery, but the batteries I'm going to put in there to build out my internal power system. That'll charge the batteries while I'm driving. So if for some reason it's cloudy and my power levels get really, really low and there's no chance of solar recharging it, I'll have 2 options. I can either plug in my propane generator, my propane powered generator, to charge those up. Actually, 3 options. Or I can put it in drive and go somewhere and that'll charge it up. And the third option is I can pull up to somewhere where I can, back it into your driveway, take my extension cord, plug it in as if I was at a camping spot that has hookups, and use your electricity from your house to charge my batteries up.
Yeah. Yeah. See, from a prepper perspective, I'm thinking about like this. I assume that this is fairly permanent, right? On top of your truck.
It's not permanent. It was a pain in the butt to get those panels attached to the roof racks, but the roof racks, those are simple enough to take off. I mean, it's just one screw on either side and the whole thing comes off. But it's too much of a pain, and trying to do that in the Texas heat. Nope. When I sell the truck, the panels go right with it. Pretty much as it sits is how it's going to be sold.
Yeah, and I'm thinking from a prepper perspective, where we're always thinking about being able to use things, being able to move, being able to go, having something that I do like the idea of being able to put something on your roof, but and maybe just a 100 watt panel really isn't that big. That's easy enough to move around, but something that you could take off pretty quick, move it to where, I mean, you're not putting it on your back and, with your backpack and, walking 100 miles with a 100 watt panel on your back. I suppose you could. You're going to look funny doing it, and it's not going to be very comfortable, but there are better options for that.
So what's not in that picture, I also have a 350 watt Suitcase panel. So there's a 20-foot cable that comes with that. So basically I can set up 350 watt panel. It's foldable, so it's a suitcase, right? So it's got, folds out, it opens up, and it's about yay wide, and I can put that 20 feet away from the vehicle, and there's potential, the potential for an additional 350 watts on top of what's on the roof.
Yeah.
Or if I park in the shade and we'll get any from the roof, I can get whatever power I can get from that one, and I can put that wherever I want. When I fold it up, it's about that thick and the same size as a standard panel. So just throw that in the back and I'm good to go.
And I suppose you don't worry about angle and all that, right? Because out in Texas, you get sun all damn day long.
Not in Texas. I mean, even in the winter, we have a pretty good, and I forget what it's called now, but the window of usable solar power, from morning until it gets dark around, right about now, it gets dark about 8:30, sometimes 9 o'clock. So that's a pretty good window of usable solar in the winter. I think the window is maybe 6 or 7 hours, depending on where in the state you are. If you're up north, you might get a little bit more, or if it's south, you get more. But all over the country, it depends. So for right now, I'm not too concerned about it. Plus, like I mentioned before, put it in drive, that'll take the place of my solar. So the combination of all those different things, I'll be able to have power, which I need to do my full-time job anyway at a computer. So I've planned everything, spec'd everything out. And right now I have more power than I'm going to need for a week, which is great. I'd rather plan it and build it bigger than I need. That way, if I need to expand it later, it's pretty simple.
Getting a little setup and then stopping every 45 minutes to adjust the angle and all that probably wouldn't be worth the amount of energy you'd get.
Yeah. Not worth the calories. Nope.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that would be kind of cool to go, smaller scale than what you're going to do, but even 100-watt solar panel, if it's something, and I'm thinking from a part-time, not a full-time like you perspective, something to just charge a 100-watt battery, maybe a couple of them, or 100 amp hour. Did I say watt? 100 amp hour battery, maybe a couple of them while you're camping, while you're on the go, whatever you're doing. And then having those portable ones, I've got probably 3 or 4 different solar panels, all the way from 15 watts to 45 watts or something like that. Mm-hmm. The smaller ones. So there's a lot of different options. Yeah, that is one of the main things, though, I think, is having that energy. The other one is going to the bathroom, and you mentioned, stopping places and doing that and all that. But what do you have when all the stores are closed? What is the plan? Are you putting one of those little toilet seats on the bumper and then dropping a deuce and then taking off?
No. So I believe at some point in the past, I've sent you my main commode, we'll call it. I don't poop in a bucket. Although I do have the bucket. I had the toilet seat for the bucket. It's very uncomfortable. I don't like it. It's not very stable. I actually have a metal folding contraption with a real toilet seat. I just put a trash bag, close the seat, do my business, and then you talk to 10 people. They'll have their own, you'll get 10 different methods of, some people use kitty litter, some people use coconut husks. You can use 1,000 different things. It's whatever works. For the other part of it, I just went to Walmart and I got 2 stainless steel water jugs. They're about a quart, I think. I got 2 of them, mainly because I only had one when I was in the camper, and I didn't empty it right when I went to bed. And about 2 o'clock in the morning, realized this is already half full. This will be interesting. I went ahead and got the second one that day. That's you don't want to get into that situation where it comes to that. So 2 is 1 is none.
Our septic tank, the main line going out to the septic jammed up. So I went and bought it's called a Campa potty or something like, I think that's what it's called. And basically it's the top level, and then the bottom level holds the fluid and the waste and all that. Mm-hmm. And I can't say how good it works because I haven't actually. Everything got back to normal before we even had an opportunity to use it. Plus, being on septic, that was the problem. Being on septic is not a big deal. You can still flush, but when that main line is clogged, that's out the window. So we went and got that. It was interesting though. I did. The reason I got that was I watched a couple videos from people doing the van life, and they were girls though. So I don't know how.
It's the same stuff.
No, I'm talking this size. I mean, I don't know. You're probably a little taller, a little heavier. So I don't know.
Hey! Now, be nice. Be nice.
I'm just trying to. I'm trying not to visualize it actually, but like this.
I think I'm a few inches
on
taller
this little
than
tiny
you.
toilet.
Oh yeah, so and I think I sent you that picture, but it's a collapsible metal frame. Think of it; it looks very similar to something you would get at a medical supply store for like an elderly person to sit down in the shower, who maybe has difficulty standing.
Yeah.
It's solid. It's foldable. It has a real toilet seat. So I'm not using it. It folds up, and it's only about maybe that wide. So I can shove it behind my seat. I can put it wherever I need to. It takes up less space, and the trash bags. I mean, they're trash bags, right? So you buy a box of kitchen bags, and you're good for however long that lasts you. The bottles. I mean, you just keep the bottles where you keep them, and that's it. But it's. I have enough room in the van. I can put that in the van and use it in the van. When I was in the camper, that would not fit. Yeah, so something like that one right there that you're pointing to.
Yeah.
Without the arms, it's just the legs and everything the seat is even with the things. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, and that camper potty is basically like this that I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, we call those cassette toilets. It's you slide the cassette out and you dump that at the dumping station.
Yeah. That would be pretty interesting, I guess. And I guess if it does fold up, I think I'd want one where you put the bucket is separate. Where you put
so if you
underneath.
Just do a search for folding toilet on Amazon, it'll probably be one of the first ones that shows up. The one on the right, yeah, that one. That's pretty much it. Mine is just like a chrome color. That one's black. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So I can see you like mounting that to the wall and then having to just pop out.
Yeah. And you lift the seat up, you put the bag just hangs down. The seat secures the bag so it doesn't fall. You do your business, you get up, you tie the bag, throw it in the garbage.
And then as you're driving down the road, down the highway, you just toss the bag out the window.
Treat it like a dirty diaper.
Yeah.
Whatever that means, that's, yeah.
Just kidding about throwing it out the window, too. Nobody shoot me.
Don't do that. No.
I don't litter.
Throw it in the trash. Yeah. Dispose of your waste in the appropriate facility.
So... And then I guess the other thing, because you've got plans where if there's restaurants around, you can do something like that. As far as toilets, as far as eating, all that stuff. There's Walmarts around, and they're freaking everywhere. But if do you plan on like going to campgrounds or national parks and stuff like that, where you would need to? What's that? I'm thinking about cooking. Now.
Oh, cooking. Oh, well. I have a backpacking stove. I have a 2-burner Coleman propane stove. I probably have 4 or 5 different stoves. Plus I have an electronic kettle for boiling water, for making coffee. And there's 7 or 8 different ways I can make coffee, from an AeroPress to pour over to cowboy coffee to you name it. Cooking. So cooking specifically, one of the things I have not got yet, but I will be ordering a 1-burner induction cooktop. And again, planning my power needs around what I will be using it for. I'll have enough power to run my computer, lights, whatever else, plus run the induction cooktop, plus the Instapot. and I did a test on that a few weeks ago. I made a meal. I ran it off one of my solar generators, and it didn't even make a dent. So I know I can make at least a few meals off of that. And when I make meals, I'll typically make one meal, and then that'll be good enough for I can eat off of that for a couple days.
Yeah.
So cook it once, and lunch and dinner for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've got like a special diet too as well too. So that you've got to think about all of that stuff. What about refrigeration? Keeping that stuff, or is it just you buy it as you need it?
My fridge.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that at the beginning. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. The fridge stays with me. It's not going with the truck. No, the fridge stays with me.
Yeah, and
I might even be getting a second. Pardon?
How big is that?
That is it's either a 50 liter or it's a 50 quart. I forget exactly. It's a 50 something. It's the ARB 50 quarter, 50 liter, whatever it is.
Talking like 3 feet tall or less than that?
No, it's probably 3 feet wide, 2 feet tall, 1.5 wide.
Oh, okay. Okay. So,
and I might be getting a bigger one. Just because that's what I used this past summer when I was out on the road, or last summer when I was out on the road in the camper. It's great. It keeps everything cold. It's not really good on power, but you do have to go to the store depending on what items you keep in it. And that's another thing is managing your food. So having a mix of canned goods, dry food, and then being kind of particular what you're going to put in the fridge. Because it's not like you're going to bring a full-size refrigerator with you. You have to plan like milk. If you typically get a gallon of milk, you may want to cut down to a half a gallon, but you buy them more frequently. And, frozen vegetables, everything takes up space. So,
if you
food shopping
3 12 packs, go down to 2.
What's that?
If you get 3 12 packs of beer, go down to 2.
If you do, I don't drink beer. So, my as you know, my thing is coffee.
Yeah, I'm the same way these days. I used to drink way too much beer. I'll just put it that way.
So and my newfound thing is Monsters. So having a few of these on hand is nice on a warm day.
Yeah.
But don't buy 12, maybe buy 3 or 4.
Yeah.
It depends on where you are, right? If I'm going to be boondocking for a week, I'll plan everything out, plan out my meals, and make sure I have everything I need. When I leave there and move to a different spot, I'll need to do laundry, food shopping, refill my water, resupply. But I got to plan it out. It's not like, I wonder what's for dinner tonight. Let me go 4 hours for a drive to a food store. No, you got to plan everything out. It's a little bit more planning than when you do it home, or maybe not, depending on how you do it at home.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're going to get out of here. It's very cool though. I'll be curious to see some of the videos you put up and some of the things that you do here now that you've got the main component good to go. Once you start, doing all the minor stuff and getting everything done, will be pretty interesting. I think from a prepper perspective, there's a lot that can be learned by watching some of these van life videos and all that, because it is all the same types of things, maybe not to the level you guys do it for. We're talking 3 days, 4 days, maybe a week. If you're if everything's gone to crap and you're traveling for months or so, good luck, I suppose. But if you're talking about natural disaster,
it also depends on where you are too, because it may be going to crap in Florida, but in Oklahoma, everything is fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so drive for a couple of days and you're good.
Yeah. But those things are still important with the solar, with the, going to the bathroom, the food and all that. And while like any vehicle could be a bug out vehicle, having something like that is specifically set up for that, an RV, anything like that one you can use throughout the year. It just doesn't sit in your driveway and waiting for the world to end or anything.
Right.
You can actually use it, and in a situation where there is something that happens, you can get out of there real quick. So there's a lot that preppers can learn from something like this. So it's very cool. I will have you on here in the future. I'm sure we'll talk a lot more about solar. I tinker around with solar a lot. And you're usually the person I go to get, make sure that, because the calculations are so damn confusing sometimes. I have to kind of double check. It's like, okay, I've researched this for 3.5 hours now. Now I'll throw it to Kevin because I want to make sure I got it right before I even throw it to you, because I don't want to hear it. And usually these days I am, but I need that reassurance that yes, this is correct. So, but you go into it a lot bigger, and I think that's something. Even if you're not talking about a bug out vehicle, just around your home, that's something that is super beneficial when you're talking about power outages. These days, it doesn't even have to be a disaster. They can just decide to flip the switch. You're not getting electricity for 2.5 hours or whatever, and so it's super important.
Or 5 weeks if you're in Texas in February.
Yeah. Or California when the wildfires are going and they just jack everything up. So yeah, super important stuff. And then the wilderness medicine stuff, always really interesting. Those medicine skills. I don't necessarily. I guess it is kind of trauma, right? I don't necessarily want to call it trauma medicine, but I guess it.
So medicine, you can break it down. It's really simple. There's 2 components to it. There's trauma, and there's medical. You have a bellyache, that's medical. You snapped your femur, that's trauma. Or you got in a car accident, you fell off a cliff, there's going to be trauma injuries. But there could be medical injuries. What's causing your diarrhea? What's causing your heat stroke? Right? Those are pretty much medical. So it's the same thing that you would see in a hospital. Take that and go an hour away out in the middle of nowhere, and what you have is what you have. And again, as with everything, and you've heard me say this 1,000 times by now, it's all about planning, having the proper resources, having the right mindset, having the right training, anticipate problems and plan for them. Just like what I'm doing with my van, anticipating I could be out somewhere and I won't have, what am I going to do about water? So make sure I bring enough water with me. What happens if I run out of X? Make sure I have enough with me. What do I do if I have a flat? Have a flat kit so I can fix my flat, air up my tire, whatever else I need to do, plan for that, anticipate it. And, that's pretty much how I do everything.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, I'm going to get out of here. I've got to get upstairs and talk to the wife and all that stuff. So, but I do appreciate you being
my wife
on.
I've been ignoring my wife here in the chat. Sorry, Kayla. It's reading this chat is a little weird. I know you're here somewhere. I just can't see you.
Oh, on your tablet there?
Yeah, I'm trying to read the comments, and it's and Rocio is here. Thank you, Rocio. So yeah, I'm trying to read the comments on here, and it's not very easy. So my apology to y'all.
Yeah,
it's not like a normal live stream. This is a bit. This is a bit weird.
Well, and we're not doing a 4-hour stream like you did a couple months ago. That's insane. No. I was like, oh my God, he's on there for 4 damn hours.
Oh, that's nothing, dude. My buddy Matt, I think his average is 8 hours. Consistently, he'll do 8-hour live chats. Well, he used to, not so much anymore, but yeah.
Good Lord. No thanks. All right, man. Well, I do have to get out of here. Appreciate everyone in the chat. Very cool. Kevin, I appreciate it. And like I said, I'm sure we'll have you on here in the near future and talking about who knows what, because there's 5 different areas of, I suppose, expertise that you could talk about that has to do with preparedness and all that stuff. So
I'm always doing some kind of, I got my fingers involved in all kinds of things, usually all at the same time. And it's a miracle I'm as sane as I am for as many things that I'm involved in. But yeah, anytime, man, I'm always glad to be on your show. Thanks again for the invite, and anytime. And,
yeah, absolutely.
Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to see the updates to the van. And I know you already are. Just saying that.
And I did put the link below this video too in the description, so make sure and jump over there and Subscribe to his channel and kind of watch and see how maybe get some tips and ideas and stuff if that's something you're interested in. Something I am. I haven't pulled the trigger on getting the actual van yet, but it's something I always think about. Maybe if I get all these other things done, then at some point I'll actually be able to pull the trigger on this. Or
and
maybe
one of
my kids
van,
will.
You can get a camper insert for your truck too.
Yeah, I thought about that. My truck we use it to get hay, and with a camper insert, that wouldn't happen because I stack it to where it's jinged in there. I mean, it's overflowing. Sometimes I'm surprised I get home with all the hay that's in there. So,
well, see, the trick is you take the hay out of the truck first, and then you put the camper insert in there.
Yeah. Then I got to take it off, put it on, take it off, put it on, or I buy a trailer to get the hay.
It'll cost you a lot less than a van.
It'll cost me a lot more than it will not doing a damn thing.
Oh, and for those of you who are watching on my channel, hopefully the description didn't get messed up, but there's a link to Dale's channel in my description. And if it got messed up, I'll go back in after this is over and put it in there. So we both put each other's channels in our own channel's description.
Yeah.
But that might get overwritten. If it does, I'll change it back. So yeah, go subscribe to Dale. I've known Dale for 5 or 6 years now, I think. Maybe longer than that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And honestly, this channel may get a little bit crazy for a lot of your viewers, and I totally get that. But, you never know.
Dale is knowledgeable in a lot of things, so it would not make you stupider by watching Dale and listen to him. And I'll definitely make you laugh, and you'll definitely learn things by watching Dale build his own sun oven, for example. He had a 3 or 4 part series on building his own sun oven. So
yeah, and then I stopped. I lost interest because I could not get it to maintain 145 degrees, and it just made me mad. And it's sitting in my garage now.
So everyone go over to Dale's channel, subscribe, and bug the shit out of him to finish the sun oven build he did, to give him the proper motivation he needs to finish it.
Yeah.
See,
maybe I'll pull that thing out and see what I can get it. I'll end up taking a baseball bat to it. That's how frustrated I got. I stuck it underneath my workbench, and I'm like, I'm done. So, at any rate, I do need to get going. Be very cool. Some of the future videos we do with you. I mean, who knows what? But again, definitely. Everyone in the chat, I appreciate you listening to us blabber tonight. Sorry it wasn't 14 hours in a row, but I just don't have that in me. So
I wouldn't be here for 14 hours, dude. I got work in the morning.
But we're going to get out of here. Appreciate you being here, Kevin, and we'ks talk to you soon. Thanks, care, Bill. Everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.